When a crisis hits and everyone else is running away from the danger, there's a group of people who are trained to run right towards it. We're talking about firefighters, paramedics, police officers, the people we count on when things get bad. But that kind of service, that kind of bravery, it often comes with a hidden cost.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Their entire job is to show up on our worst days. The car accidents, the medical emergencies, the absolute tragedies. They're the ones who step into the chaos to help us. And being exposed to that again and again, day in and day out, it takes a toll, a huge toll. And today, we're going to look at that hidden cost, a mental health crisis that affects the very people we rely on the most. And here is that cost, boiled down to a single, pretty shocking number. Right now, about 1 in every 10 emergency workers is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And honestly, that number is probably even higher for those who've already retired. So to really understand this, we're diving into a really groundbreaking source. These are the world's first ever expert guidelines for diagnosing and treating PTSD, specifically in emergency workers. They were put together by some of the top experts in the field. And the experts who led this project said it best themselves. This kind of guidance is long overdue. This isn't just some academic paper. It's a vital, practical tool for helping our helpers. Okay, so let's get right to the heart of it. What is this hidden cost? We're going to break down what post-traumatic stress disorder actually is, especially for people in these incredibly demanding jobs. So, the official definition calls PTSD a severe and persistent mental health impairment. This isn't just about feeling stressed out after a tough day. No, this is a real clinical disorder that is a direct result of being exposed to traumatic events. And it shows up in 4 main ways. First, there's re-experiencing the trauma, through flashbacks or nightmares. Then you've got avoidance, where someone actively tries to stay away from anything that reminds them of what happened. The third one is negative changes in thoughts and mood, like feeling numb or carrying a lot of guilt. And finally, there's this constant state of being on high alert, which can look like irritability or being unable to sleep. Now, this next part is so important. For a lot of people, PTSD is linked to one big, awful event. But for emergency workers, it's different. It's often the cumulative effect of trauma over a whole career. Think of it like a bucket filling up with water, drop by drop, with every tough call. Eventually, that bucket is going to overflow.
So, given how complex this is, how do you actually identify it? Well, the guidelines lay out a super clear path, because getting the diagnosis right is the absolute first step to getting better.
It's a really thorough assessment. Clinicians are told to look at a person's entire life, not just the last bad call. They need to check for other things that often go along with PTSD, like depression. Then there's a full health workup. And super importantly, they look at how all this is affecting someone's life, both at work and at home.
And this really drives home a key point. A simple checklist or some online quiz just won't cut it. A proper diagnosis of PTSD has to come from a trained mental health professional after a deep, comprehensive assessment. It's just too serious for anything less.
Okay, so once that diagnosis is made, what's next? What does the road to recovery actually look like? Well, the good news is there's a very clear evidence-based roadmap to follow.
And the guidelines are crystal clear on this. Every single emergency worker diagnosed with PTSD should be offered one of 2 highly effective therapies. These are considered the gold standard for a simple reason. They've been proven to work. So, let's see what they are.
So, what are they? First up is trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. Basically, it helps you re-examine and change the negative thought patterns that get stuck on a loop after a trauma. The other one is EMDR. Now, this is really interesting. It uses things like guided eye movements to help your brain reprocess traumatic memories so they get filed away properly and don't cause so much distress. And we're not talking about years and years of therapy here. It's usually a course of about 8 to 12 sessions. They're individual, face-to-face, and success really depends on building a strong, trusting relationship with your therapist. Of course, for people with more complex trauma, it might take a bit longer.
So, what about medication? Well, the guidelines see it as an important tool, but it's not usually the first move. Things like SSRI antidepressants are recommended when therapy isn't an option, or maybe when it just needs a little extra boost to be as effective as possible. Now, here's one of the most important and honestly unique parts of these guidelines. It's not just about treating symptoms. It's about helping these incredibly vital workers get back to doing their jobs. See, the whole point is what's called functional recovery. It means getting a person back to a place where they can do their job safely and effectively. It's a really practical goal that, when you think about it, helps everyone: the worker, their family, their team, and the community they serve.
But getting back to work isn't like flipping a switch. It's a big decision that involves the clinician, the patient, and their employer all working together. It might mean changing duties for a while to give therapy the best chance to work. And before anyone goes back to the front lines, a really careful risk assessment is absolutely essential. So, here's the most important takeaway from all of this. It's a message of hope. PTSD is a serious injury, yes, but it is not a life sentence. With the right help, the right diagnosis, and the right treatment, it is absolutely treatable. Recovery is possible.
And that really leaves us with one final big question. We have a clear roadmap now. We know what works. So the challenge for all of us is, how do we take this knowledge and build systems that truly support the people who dedicate their lives to protecting us?